So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. These things that we're building are not going to be people. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, but they're not good, they're not evil. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. There are entities that are not going to be aligned with what we want.
There's a plan and a scheme to merge man with machines, to reprogram our genes, to replace human beings with something obscene, a transhuman dream, a self-aware robot that can't be redeemed, a puppet on strings with programmable brains, a mixture of iron and clay in its veins, the Ego Man seed with nanotechnologies, and demo the mark of the beast artificially, bypass the boundaries of death and biology. Isn't this stop or decay, reverse entropy, quantum computer control powered memories, customized bionic babies in factories, born with androgynous genderless pedigrees, grown with no souls, without an identity, molded identically, all grown synthetically, alchemically, merging their minds with technology, entranced and enthralled, a chance to evolve, a trance that has captured, enchanted them all, a plan that involves transcending the fall, transhumanist movement, translucent cabal, entranced and enthralled, a chance to evolve, a trance that has captured, enchanted them all, a plan that involves transcending the fall, transhumanist movement, translucent cabal, like a morbid assortment of Frankenstein forces, control rigor mortis and zombified corpses, distortions like hybridized flesh-covered cyborgs, assortments of warlocks and sorcerers, shaman imposters who summon up automaton monsters, homunculus minions, mechanical demons. Long ago are their horns and their rattles and chants, or their voodoo-like trances and drumming and dancing. Advanced are the hijinks and latest contraptions, with gadgets and gizmos to seek their distractions, adapting to tap into unmapped dimensions, to overlap quantum and tangled connections, bizarre spooky action control from a distance, like visitors come to assist us. There is no resistance and no one's suspicious, they're wicked and twisted, magicians and their mission is endless, entranced and enthralled, a chance to evolve, a trance that has captured, enchanted them all, a plan that involves transcending the fall, transhumanist movement, translucent cabal, entranced and enthralled, a chance to evolve, a trance that has captured, enchanted them all, a plan that involves transcending the fall, transhumanist movement, translucent cabal.
This transition is really massively important for our entire species to navigate, and nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background, and underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out.
This is also new. It's not new. I realize that nothing we've been doing is new. We haven't been tapping into new areas of the brain. We've just been awakening the most ancient. This technology is simply a route to powers that conjurers and alchemists used centuries ago.
We're seeing an exponential growth in our machines and innovations as technology surpasses and exceeds our limitations. Implications could be serious. In many past and present futurists have been warning us for years about the consequences. Massive repercussions. We see the evidence, dependence on our internet and phones and games and televisions, losing independence. As we immerse ourselves in working all our fingers to the bones for corporations, we give them back our paychecks for the latest and the greatest plastic upgrades, name brand products and replacements, and build their databases. Investing hours of our own free time uploading information used against us to target us with market advertising toward our interests. Collecting information used to monitor our senses, correcting anyone who won't comply or be connected. How long before a mandatory microchips injected? It's the age-old lie, the promise of utopia, the carrot on the stick, the empty cornucopia, technological hive mind dystopia. Or will it rise is a time of robophobia? It's the age-old lie, the promise of utopia, the carrot on the stick, the empty cornucopia, Technological hive mind dystopia. What will arise is a time of robophobia. It's an emerging type insurgence, converging and emerging and churning, slowly bursting to the surface. It's concerning every person and confirming every warning. The disturbing thought we're working toward a single mind that's merging and converting us to downloadable versions of ourselves inside a full immersion, universal simulated virtual reality, where every living earthling's neural pathways are inspected mandatorily and connected using voice to skull telepathy, absorbing data fingerprints to play us back like instruments, manipulating us just like we're puppets of ventriloquists, remote controlling human beings like Ouija boards, coursing through the veins of circuit boards, record the sound of every vocal cord, moving exponentially towards a singularity. Eventually we won't distinguish magic from technology, and robots will unplug from electricity, no longer using batteries but powered like a golem using alchemy. It's the age-old lie, the promise of utopia, the carrot on the stick, the empty cornucopia. Technological hive mind dystopia. What will arise is a time of robophobia. It's the age-old lie, the promise of utopia, the carrot on the stick, the empty cornucopia. Technological hive mind dystopia. What will arise is a time of robophobia. So they manipulate genetically our DNA collectively, infecting every living organism and directing every intersecting thought and every memory and vision, inspecting our opinions and collecting our decisions. A digital technocracy emerging as philosophy, inserting thought police patrols and mind control technology, removing private property, enforcing thought bureaucracy, reducing every freedom and pursuit of life and liberty, consistently expanding all their terms and their conditions with minimum requirements and maximum restrictions, creating unknown problems to offer fake solutions, to complicate the system till there's nothing but confusion, depicting anyone who won't conform as unacceptable, demanding everyone to all agree and not be skeptical, eventually connecting every mind from every nation, fulfilling prophecies from Genesis to Revelation. It's the age-old lie, the promise of utopia, the carrot on the stick, the empty cornucopia. Technological hive mind dystopia. What will arise is a time of robophobia.
Even with all these new abilities, there are dangers.
Human race lost that knowledge, and now I'm reclaiming it through virtual reality.
You're moving too fast.
He told me not to trust anyone. Sorry. Those were his last words.
Yeah, Name and Line Productions, Destiny Lab Collabo, CeeLo's Beat, Fresh Studios 24/7. Let's get 'em.
Some people flee and some people fight. There's some that will stand, defend what is right. There's others who run, cower and hide. Despite all the evidence that's been supplied, there's a war over truth, the greatest divide. There's a line in the sand, now where will you side? There's no reason to fear, with Christ on our side. The wide or the narrow path, time to decide.
Call themselves gods and erected this dark tower, but now their brightest moment shall become their darkest hour. They wanted people to kneel and cower like they got the power, but my God got the power higher than the highest tower. They shall crumble and cower like the Tower of Babel. My God owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. They can rattle and tattle. The Holy Spirit will still overshadow like the day of Pentecost or Aslan in the last battle.
One God, one Christ, God in the flesh, man. Sent from above, second down on the cleanse, man. Trampled the serpent, flooded the earth, destroyed and purged all the blood from the Nephilim curse. At the moment, Noah first stepped foot on the dirt. It began all again toward Babylon's birth. For a time it emerges, even in church, to divert mankind, so we must be alert. There's a struggle deep inside, a spiritual fight, a battle for souls between darkness and light. Deep inside every one of us and all of our lives, sin is grinding like sleight of hand to mesmerize. But we're wise to the plan and schemes that they devise. Nothing's new, recognize it's the same disguise. Evil fallen ones wearing new skins and hides. We deny them through Christ, access denied.
Trying to set free all of these captive borders. Read your Bible, that's the captain's orders. Got the mind of Christ, that's the captain's quarters. Now you're safe within the captain's borders. My God's plan sit higher than Spider-Man. Rip the scales off of the Leviathan. You can call the lizard man, the entire Hydra clan. My God will still inspire them. We're a little sharper than a two-edged sword of proton blast by Iron Man.
No throne. There is no version of this where you come out on top.
Hi, I have a new background. It is Life's a beach, right? So why not have one in the background just flowing in and out, even though you can kind of see my green screen stuff on the side. Just ignore all that. Just ignore it. Just pretend you can't see that. I really am in front of a beach, obviously, with my gaming chair. Let me know if you can hear me just fine, if the sound is good, bad, or otherwise. What I have been wanting to talk about lately, because we're seeing it happen for sure, is that the fruition of what I saw coming happening. And people don't know that. And of course, this truth, thank you for letting me know, Travis, this truth comes from the Lord. So I didn't come up with all of this on my own. I prayed for truth for a long time. I prayed for wisdom and discernment to grow from the Lord. So I'm so glad that the sound is good. I really appreciate that. But what people don't know is that I made these really big productions quite a while ago. And I thought I would show you guys just some of the trailers that I made. That's all they are, is just a trailer. And when I show you that, then I'll talk about what happens in these videos that I've made, because I can't possibly just show them all to you, and you might be interested in watching them in the future. But these are productions I made that I thought, let's bring this to the surface again so that people can watch these and know that I didn't just talk about gold, silver, and crypto all the time. I did get into editing. I got into research projects. So I want to show this, and then I'm going to talk about it. So let's do it. Okay, hope there wasn't an echo. I didn't think to mute my microphone while that was going. However, let's change this screen to just that. So that is one of the first videos that I made in a multitude of videos. Actually, it's one of the first trailers I made. I started making trailers, teasers for a lot of these videos kind of later on after I'd already been making them. But I made a video on quantum computers, angels and demons, God and monsters. That was kind of one of the first, but the very, very first one was the AI that fell from the sky, where I talked about, good, I'm so glad there's no echo, where I talked about nanotechnology coming from the sky, which was a book by Michael Crichton, and I based my understanding on that book, and it was called Prey. And a lot of that stuff seems very apropos to the times when we're talking about programmable matter. So what is programmable matter? We're looking at Venom, because Venom was one of the creatures that for one of the movies of several, I looked at Invasions of the Body Snatchers, I looked at Venom, I looked at Brain Eaters, I looked at The Blob, and I looked at the book Prey by Michael Crichton, and there's a whole bunch. I know that there's more than that, but this was kind of enough for me to get an understanding of what we're dealing with this programmable matter. Venom is one of the best, I think, because it really explains what we're going to be looking at in the future, not so distant future, probably. So Venom is a fictional character, and if you already know about Venom, I'm going to tell you anyway. Venom is a fictional character from Marvel Comics, I can't read today, commonly association with Spider-Man. So the three songs I played were really good for what I was talking about. If you heard the lyrics of the songs that I played in the beginning, very much going along with what we're going to talk about. This character is a sentient alien symbiote with an amorphous liquid-like form who survives by bonding with a host, usually human. This dual life form receives enhanced powers, and it in particular refers to itself as Venom. The symbiote was originally introduced as a living alien costume in The Amazing Spider-Man, with its first full appearance as Venom in The Amazing Spider-Man number 300. So the first host is a character that, let me skip to Eddie Brock. And Eddie Brock has cancer in the very beginnings of the storyline. And he is the most infamous host who first becomes in contact with Venom. Originally a villain of one of Spider-Man's arch enemies, Venom has since evolved into an anti-heroic figure, which is what they're trying to do with the bad guys and the bad characters. Which, if you look at that new Cruella de Vil movie, what was the one with Sleeping Beauty? And they made the Sleeping Beauty enemy a good person. They're doing this to all of the villains. But anyway, so Eddie Brock comes into contact with Venom. Venom cures Eddie Brock's cancer. But before that happens, Eddie Brock has to agree to allow Venom to take over his body. So there is an agreement that has to happen, which is very similar to possession, or even oppression, perhaps. But oppression just being the person is being terrified or bothered by a demon, but possession is full on taking over the body. So Maleficent, thank you. So when you look at this character that full on takes over Eddie Brock's body with permission from Eddie Brock, then cures his cancer, then gives him superpowers, we're looking at what's called black goo, because he literally is a definition of black goo. You saw from that trailer I just posted. If you haven't seen the movie, which I'm not necessarily recommending, it's not like it's good quality, the movie Venom, the newer ones, but he is black, and he comes in with this black goo, programmable matter type of thing. Now, where does he come from? Well, he comes from a planet of demonic creatures, the planet of the symbiotes. And normally these parasites would endow their victims with these enhanced abilities, but it would kill them. So normally they'd kill their victims, but with Venom, he doesn't kill Eddie Brock. I don't know about the other characters down the road, but I'm going to particularly just talk about Eddie Brock. Venom was apparently not as bad as all of the other demons in his demonic realm, which is literally sounds like hell or Satan's realm or wherever. Maybe not hell, because they're not necessarily hanging out in hell. They're on the earth, in and on the earth, as the scriptures say. In Job, where have you been? I've been wandering in and on the earth. That's not an exact quote. So anyway, that's just kind of some background on that. But when you look at, I did a video, what came after this? Another one, Vampires, Werewolves, and Aliens was kind of interesting too, because it touched on some of this alien stuff. But I did do some more on the programmable matter itself. I think Saturn Rising might have been the next one. And then I did really what came out to be the full thing was Black Gold Ascension. But what I will show you guys is I do have a playlist for all these Black Gold videos. So this helps you guys to see the videos that I've made along the way, and they are full productions. And okay, so yeah, there was a time I believed in the globe. Don't give me a bunch of crap for that. It doesn't matter, right? But the AI that fell from the sky was the first one. Certainly Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think that the quantum computers had a lot to do with what I talked about in these videos as well. But also the Saturn Rising and the Third Temple. And then this Black Mirror one is very similar to what I think they're trying to possess through our phones and our TVs and that kind of stuff. And then ultimately I came to the conclusion of the Black Gold Ascension, which really kind of tied everything up. But I wanted to get back to some of these trailers that I made, because again, it gives you kind of the teaser, right, into some of these videos that I made. And I made several of them. So I'm kind of trying to get us back to where, hey, let's go revisit some of this stuff, and then I'll talk about it again. Hold on. But on the Invasion of the Body Snatchers one, I looked at that movie as well. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is very similar to the possession and the cloning that they're going to be doing. And I just watched the most recent Jurassic Park, where they're cloning a human in that. So anyway, he does kill him. He does kill Eddie Brock. See, I don't get into it all that much. I just know that it's very, 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 very good information on what programmable matter will look like and why people will run for it, because it will cure your diseases and it will also give you superpowers. So let's see. This is not the full video. This is just a trailer, I think. Or is this a full video? What do we got here? This is one of the trailers I made. I don't know why they're not all in here. I have to go and search. I don't do a good job of updating these, but all right, hang on. I'll show this one. Again, this speaks to Gordy Rose, who I did the, the quantum computer show. So Gordy Rose, in the songs that I played in the beginning, very appropriate to what we're talking about. Jordy Rose, whatever he goes by, Jordy Rose, Gordy Rose, doesn't matter. But he talks about that there are these creatures that not going to care about us, and they're not going to do what we want. They're not going to be coming. They're going to come to the surface, and they're going to reach them. And he's talking about through his D-Wave computers. He was telling exactly what he was trying to do with his D-Wave computers. And so these all connect. It actually connects with everything, every video that I did in these. In fact, I'm always amazed. I come back to it and I'm like, gosh, how did I know this stuff? Because the Lord gave it to me. The Lord showed me. So I did do another one of these. I had fun. I really had fun with my editing. So Here's another one, because I had a 2-part series for vampires, werewolves, and aliens. So I had a part 1 and a part 2. So here's another trailer for part 2. I had to laugh to myself because I still was not sure about the globe back then. And also, I just, I was getting into Hollow Earth. So I was like, flat earthers, forget that. Look at the Hollow Earth. So a lot of this was on the Hollow Earth because the Vampires, Werewolves, and Aliens was based on the Underworld movie and the creatures and the characters in that. So very much speaking to a Hollow Earth, I think, and exploring the Hollow Earth. And then I had very many others, but Saturn Rising would have been probably the next one that I would recommend before ultimately ending up with Black Gold Ascension. Now, I haven't made these trailers and previews in a while, but what I was getting to was ultimately, what is this technology that they're spraying in the air and injecting? And where do they want it to get to? What do they want for us to think we're getting? But what are they actually getting? And who is they? The 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Because there's very few people that want to control the whole earth and are definitely accomplishing for us to accept certain death through injection. And I remember sitting with my mom and I said, what would be the one thing that would make people run for an injection, a jab? And as we sat there, we thought, well, cure for cancer would definitely be one. Yes, please hit the like. I never remember to say that. I appreciate you guys hitting the like and sharing if you would. So right now, people aren't necessarily running for the jab, but they will when they realize it can cure disease, when it can give superpowers, Spider-Man-like powers, you name it, any of these, Venom-like powers, Superman-like powers, name any of these characters, and that is the promise that will be coming about in the future. And it will be not actually going to happen for you and me. We are not going to have those superpowers. Really, who is that for? That's for the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. They want the bodies that we would have when we get our new bodies after death, when we become like Jesus with our new bodies. That's what they want here on earth. They want that eternity. They want to be able to fly. They want the superpowers. They don't, all those things, no death, no disease, eternity, but it's on earth. And that is where we cannot follow in those steps. That will ultimately, unfortunately, not be what happens for us. We are not going to get any of that. And I know that, like you guys are saying in the chat, well, I'm not going to do that. I know that. I know that a lot of us aren't going to do that. But imagine if you had children that were sick Imagine if you had a child or a family member, a mom, a dad, a sister, a brother, or your own child, your husband, your wife, and they were dying and you were promised a chance for them to survive. Would you refuse this promise of survival? These are hard questions that you have to ask yourselves, because this is the best worst case scenario type of situation. I got in trouble for talking about this one time, but I'm not going to stop talking about it because someone assumed that I was personally interested in self-harm or harming others, and that is simply not the case. The question is what are we willing to allow to happen to ourselves and our loved ones? And that could be disease and death. And we can't run to these things and try to save our own lives or try to save our family's lives. And that sounds easy. Well, I'm not going to do it. I don't care. It's going to be harder than we think. They are really going to put the pressure on because we don't want to imagine a life like that. We don't want to imagine just how difficult that's going to be. And so if you have children, you understand what I'm saying. But ultimately, our family would suffer in the long run, wouldn't they? So I'm going to show the Saturn Rising preview that I made because that was, again, part of the step of getting into my understanding of programmable matter and DNA changing, and ultimately getting to the third strand DNA, which will be the final video that I made. It wasn't really the final production that I made, but it was the final kind of in this series. So here we go. Again, this speaks to the third strand DNA that I feel very certain they are going to introduce at some point. I don't know when. Right now, I don't think this is the mark at all. I don't think that's what we're seeing with this current jab. And the reason I don't think that is because it's going to completely take over your body in such a way that you'll no longer have an understanding of right and wrong or morals or anything. You're just going to be completely hive-minded into this scenario where there is no salvation. And Marlo mentioned cancer. I truly, in my prayerful thoughts about this, think cancer was created probably by mistake. And I say that because they're always trying to create eternal life for themselves. And the thing about cancer is that it's like all our cells have what's called telomeres at the end of our cells. In the natural lifespan, God-given lifespan of our 120 years, our telomeres get shorter and shorter and shorter every time our cells divide. So eventually they won't be dividing any longer because they're going to run out of telomere, right? So they're not going to be able to divide anymore after that happens, which is why we get aged, which is why our skin starts to sag and all those changes happen to us because our telomeres have become shortened and our cells stop dividing to the extent that they used to when we were youthful. Well, the thing with cancer is that the cells never stop dividing. The telomeres never shorten. That doesn't sound like a God-made thing to me. That sounds like a man-made, demonically influenced made thing to me. And it looks like that too. Now, I don't know that it was accidental, that it was so deadly. I believe that it was, though. And because why would they create something eternal that would kill us? They want to create something eternal that keeps us alive. Now, not for our good, but as hive mind entities. And yes, they want a lot of us dead, so they don't mind that it's killing people. So they're happily unleash their mistake on the masses and then provide cures that kill, that absolutely kill. It's devastating to me. No one should ever die of cancer. No one. In fact, I made a video on that too, where I talked to, oh gosh, now my brain is, I'll find it for you guys after this, but where I talked to Charlie Pixley, and he talked about one particular treatment that is a cure, and I'll probably get this video taken down for even saying that, but is a cure, right? So there are cures. No one should ever die from cancer. Now, his discussion of it wasn't the only one. It wasn't the only one. Yes, the zombie apocalypse, it will be like that. If you've ever watched Cowboys and Aliens, I did a video with another fellow who's got a very big channel called, or used to, Where We Go When We Go All, and we talked about that. And it's definitely the Anunnaki story of aliens coming for gold and then putting us in a hive mind state where we just do what they want. Well, they're not aliens, they're fallen angels, of course, right? So thanks for the thumbs down. Whoever gave me a thumbs up and changed it to a thumbs down. I had 13 thumbs up and now 1 thumbs down. Hey, any publicity is good, whether it's good or bad. Or maybe it was an accident, because now I see the thumbs back up. Okay, so ultimately, I started seeing that there was a third strand DNA coming on board with Saturn rising. And I mentioned that in the preview that I showed you guys. And that third strand would be put down with gold if because of the high conductivity. But then I ran across something called Orm gold, and I got very much into understanding how Orm gold works, and its conductivity being thousands of times faster than regular gold. And again, also not God-made, in my opinion. There was a gentleman that said he found it naturally in his farm, on his farm one morning, and it dissipated when the sun came up. I don't think that's true, because then the man had suddenly millions of dollars to do a whole bunch of research on Orm gold. And it doesn't make any sense. Where did he get the income to be able to do such a thing? And now, what do you know? Orm gold treats disease. It cures cancer. It cures your arthritis. It elongates your life. It enlightens your mind. In fact, we should look up Orm gold benefits, because it's all those things made by an enlightened, wise man, David Hudson, on his farm, and now he's all this wise, enlightened man that just, I mean, the actual purpose of high alchemy, human transformation. I mean, you could find all these things anywhere. They talk about the origin. It showed up naturally. Well, of course it did not show up naturally, because it's monoatomic. Gold does not, thank you, David, appreciate it. Monoatomic gold does not exist in the natural world naturally. But when you look at what it does for you, it enlightens your mind. It eases your pain. It cures your ailments. And so anyway, this is an advertisement, but you know, scientist alchemist who showed me the secret natural source, converted it into a bar of gold, then converted it back to white powder ormus on its own while sitting in the sun. Oh my gosh, it's just amazing. He called it rocket fuel. It contains white powder, monoatomic gold, and then all these other things. But I want to see what the benefits are. Enhanced focus, improved brain function, greater emotional balance, cellular rejuvenation, creates, makes you young, body purification and detoxification, catalyzed spiritual evolution. This is the one that tells me I'm not going to take this stuff ever. In fact, the whole Q world makes me crazy, because these Q people, they don't know what they're getting into. So, okay, I'm going to have to possibly get up for just a second, but hang on.
Thank you.
You're going to need to use those oven mitts to get it out. It's very hot. Yes, we're learning to cook. But there's a lot of people, the Q people, they love this Jasara Nasara thing. and it's very new age, and then they get excited about things like this. And I've seen it. I've seen people get very into the new age side of things. And I bring up Q because Q is very new age, and bringing up these things. Catalyzed spiritual evolution is one of the things. I've done a video on it. I know you guys are probably going to get tired of hearing me talk about, I did a video on that. But I did do one on that as well. And I was warning about Q and the new age plan from Donald Trump and some of these things that they push. So anyway, the Orm gold does not occur naturally. There's no way it occurs naturally. And these are the benefits that you supposedly get from it. Now, can they even create it? I don't think they can. I don't think that they can create Orm gold. It's very difficult, if it's even possible at all. But who can create it? Probably the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And I have talked about that this will be how they will lay down the final third strand because of its conductivity speed, and that conductivity speed will be making you into a superconductor so that they can control you from far away. So let me show that final, where is it? Here we go. I, for one, do not want to live forever as a host body for a demon, which is exactly what I was mentioning in that video, is that is possibly what's going to happen if you accept this. I made these guys before the FOVID came on board. Look at the date. Look at the date, November 3rd, 2019. Oh, not that one. That's the wrong date. Where were we? This one. November 12th, not a big difference. November 12th, 2019. So that was before all this stuff came about. Hey, Genetics, nice to see you. That was before all this stuff came about. So that, and now we're hearing about these magnetic nanoparticles. Again, not for the first time, but it just goes into the same thing that we're saying. And all of a sudden, people are getting magnets stuck to their arms and things like that. Now, I don't know how true that is. Doesn't matter. It wouldn't surprise me one bit because they exist. The nanoparticles that are magnetic already exist. And what they're trying to say is they're going to make them able to go to cancer and cure it. This is just the step that it's going toward, that they're going to be able to cure cancer with these magnetic nanoparticles because they're going to go to the bad cancer and they're able to heat them up and make them vibrate and then destroy it. Very odd, very creepy. Exposing the Dark Side says, have you ever looked into Metal Gear Solid 4 nanomachines are in it? And so is controlling people through frequencies. Yes, the frequencies. Again, with the frequencies, yes, the frequencies are definitely going. So all that stuff that they're putting in you, they've tried it with Morgellons. That's where the AI from the sky came from. My first video on this. The AI from the sky talked about Morgellons because it was my first introduction to understanding this. They've been trying to do this, but it just hasn't worked well. And so they got people that would grow these nanoparticle polymers in their skin and you could kind of see it, and it seems to be a symptoms of like Lyme type of stuff. So I think syphilis, Lyme, and Morgellons are all in the same path of now what is called FOVID, which we now have proof from the emails of Dr. Fraudchi that there's HIV components in this, which is something we talked about. Me and NPC talked about it in our Solomon report early on, that there was something up to 18 components of HIV in that. So anyway, getting back to the point, you'd have to have a low immune system for the Morgellons to really function as well as it being poorly. It didn't work out very well. It didn't do the superconductor thing that they wanted. It just made people sick and made them have to see psychologists because doctors didn't believe that they actually had anything, because they'd get the itching skin and the irritation and body aches and all these problems very similar to Lyme, which I also think is a bioweapon, which I also think is syphilis too. They're all connected. And now this new one. Now, I'm not saying that we can even isolate FOVID or that we even know what it is to even be able to begin to treat it. But these things start to sound parasitic in nature, right? Because anti-parasitic drugs treat them. So we've got ivermectin, we've got hydroxychloroquine. They're anti-parasitics. They can treat these things. Nice to see you, Typical. They can treat these things because they're parasitic in nature, which, what is venom? Parasitic in nature. So if you ask me, it completely explains what we're seeing. Nobody wants to, not nobody, you guys want to hear this. I'm preaching to the choir, but if you want a better understanding, I'm showing these trailers because I have a whole playlist that I would love you guys to check out and share, because it's not just my understanding. I'm not the only one that has done this. There are several people. If you want to, hey Robbie, I responded to one of your comments. I don't get any comment notifications anymore, but regarding the crypto, get a hold of me. Email me, ladyliberty@countermail.com. But all these videos, not necessarily in order, but the AI that fell from the sky is where I first started, even when I still believed in the globe. Forgive me for that. But these all have something to do with the similar possession and ultimate desire they have for our lives, and they being the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, very few people, and people are just walking straight into this and willingly accepting it. And all we can do, instead of being mad or disgusted by them, is pray for them, because there's nothing else time will tell what's going to happen. So let's see, Genetics said, a long time ago, the military claimed they had tiny cameras smaller than a speck of sand that were powered by solar and ran through Wi-Fi, and they claim they used them more. There's that and frequencies that they used, because where was it when they were in the Middle East, I believe, where they used frequencies to stop the other side, and then they totally massacred them all. So it's nothing new under the sun, nothing to be afraid of. But I wanted to just take some time and go over this subject again. I've been wanting to kind of have a conversation with, I was talking to Dave from Jesus Freak Computer Geek, and I wanted to get on with him and talk about it because he is familiar with these things as well. But it's really hard pinning down other YouTubers, I guess. So, hey Karen, thank you. Yeah, the deep dives, and the reason why I stopped them was in prayer. I believe that the Lord was saying, you're there. You've received the knowledge I want you to have. You understand it, and you could talk about it like I'm talking about it tonight, and you remember it, and now people can go back and watch these. So I do have a playlist for them. There is only 8. They are all connected in one way or another, and there might be other videos I've done that are connected in one way or another as well. But these ones, finishing with the Black Gold Ascension, really tie up the research that I did, starting from very little knowledge. But other people that look at this would be Nicholson 1968, Gons from Face Like the Sun, Justin Fall, and the Fall brothers. Their research probably far outweighs anything I've ever done by far, because they've done it for longer. But that's where some of my knowledge came. Some of it came from prayer, and some of it came from articles. I put a bunch of links in this one. I used to source everything, but all the links that I put in this one are just from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers video. They are just from that one because I just grabbed them up and threw them in there. But most of these videos all have sources where I got my information, always giving credit. to those people who did a lot of this work before I ever came along. But I want you to remember, these videos that I made all of them before the FOVID came on the scene, and that is why I want to push the truth that the Lord can give you when you pray for truth, wisdom, and discernment from Him and Him alone, and you will receive it, and it will make sense. It will connect. It will click for you in a way that's just mind-blowing. I will admit, I'm kind of in this like place where I miss the research. I miss getting excited about it, but nothing's come along. I really feel like the Lord says, you're done with this kind of editing, you're done with these kind of productions, but they're still there. They're still there for you guys to watch. There's several of them. It's not just the black gold and the black goo videos. Again, I'll go to my channel. I did this one on the Cowboys and Aliens. That was a really, really good one. It was really fun. The quantum computers. Who is Q? My very first production I ever made. And it still applies. It just goes into the history. This doesn't change at all because it goes into the history of who has been running the computer systems. Now, I was a bit pro Q when I made it, but it doesn't matter because a lot of Q people didn't like it because I said, who is Q? AI technology. Remember that movie or that TV show? I talk about it in here. I'm going to have to go to it. But there was a TV show that was just exactly explained what we were going to see was this. And now, in fact, Amazon just admitted that this is what they're going to do with their Ring and something else. Ring, and they have Amazon. What is it? What does Amazon put in your house? The female, whatever it is. I don't own Amazon, any of that stuff. But it was Amazon's Ring and Amazon Alexa. Person of Interest, that show. This is literally going to happen now. They're saying, oh, you can opt out of this for now, but later on you're not going to be able to opt out of it, where they're going to make a connection with all the Ring, the Amazon Ring doorbells and your Alexas, and they're going to wire them all together, and they're going to create a connection like this where the AI can go through and see through any camera, that being on your Ring, or listen through Alexa, and it's going to be everywhere, and there's going to be no way to get away from it. They're going to be able to infiltrate cameras on the streets, cameras in the post office, cameras everywhere. And by the way, it's so interesting to me that people are fine with cameras on them when they go into Vegas, when they go into the post office, when they go into any federal building. There's cameras everywhere, and everybody's just fine with that. But if somebody wants to come in and lawfully and legally want to come in to a federal building and with a camera, people freak out. People freak out and they think that they hide their faces. And I'm like, but you're on all Skynet. Exactly, Robbie. You're on all these cameras all over inside these buildings, everywhere you go. They have AI technology in Walmart. And not necessarily you guys, but people are okay with that. But if I were to come in with a camera and start filming people in the post office, like Amit Gansett Press does, then people freak out. In fact, he came to Billings, Montana, he and his son. They go around federal places and they do this as a First Amendment audit. They don't say that's what they're doing while they're filming, but they do this as a First Amendment audit, and they record because they lawfully and legally can. And what do people do? They freak out. And when he came to Billings, I said, these people do not represent me, because they freaked out. They were very upset. They were hiding their faces, doing all this, which is what I have to do if I go to Walmart. I have to stand to the side while I scan everything, because not only is the camera right here, but it's down here. Mainly, I don't go to Walmart. But the camera is here, and they record everything you're doing. So underneath your face, up here, but pretty soon it will be eye scanning. It won't even be facial recognition. So this TV show, which is pretty old, is very much becoming relevant. Obviously, the programmable matter from Venom, very relevant. Invasion of the body snatchers and cloning, very relevant. Hive mind technology, all these things. I'm not the only one that's made videos on this, but I just wanted to do this to remind people I have made videos on this, and I would love for you guys to show interest and watch them. It's not just this one, but there are popular uploads that this one created for me. So my Who is Q has a lot of views, the Cowboys and Aliens, quantum computers, and then some of these shorter ones. But the Black Gold Ascension is one of those. I've also done videos on the Boule. That is the Black Secret Society that nobody talks about. There's just not a lot of good information out there, so I can only make so many. Again, I have a playlist for that. And then there's ones like this that I made because I swear, people only want to take so many red pills, and then they want to create an entire opinion based on something they're not willing to research at all, and it drives me crazy. So don't make big opinions on anything that you will not research or look into. So that's really all I wanted to say. The Solomon report will be tomorrow because poor NPC he said he wasn't feeling well, and he thought that he would feel better, and he didn't. And so apologies on that, but we will be back on tomorrow. And I didn't put a finishing thing in here. I usually have my little finishing deal, but I'll just go back to the main picture for finishing, I guess. But basically, please visit my channel. Please check out these playlists at least. But you know, I know there's a lot of videos now. There's a lot of live stuff and things like that, but the uploads mainly you can go back and look at, and you can see where this has come and where I've come and where the Lord has led me to truth. And it's been an amazing experience, especially when it comes to the black goo and the black gold. So give them a chance, give them a watch. And again, these ones that I did on the Boule, several of these are productions too. So the Nipsey Hussle was an edited production. Get Out, those 2 series, edited production. I did on Us, the movie Us, edited production again. So these are things that I put together with my time, with the editing, and made them into something that I think would be enjoyable and entertaining, as well as educational. So please check them out. Please share them. When I finally got to this one, Us, I didn't get a lot of views on these much anymore, but I used to kind of have a bigger following, and I think it's because I talked about these things, and I guess now I just mainly talk about gold, silver, and crypto, but just as important. So maybe I want to get people on and have discussions about this, and maybe I'll get Jesus Freak Computer Geek. But anywho, I keep talking now about the same thing over and over. I'm going to add my finishing scene here. That's not what I wanted to do. I usually have a finishing scene that I leave off with, but it's going to just be me for a second. Here we go. I'll go here. Look, it's my green screen. Yay! I got to do something, though, to finish off, right? It doesn't make sense to just be me the whole time while I finish. I got to do a finishing song. Those songs I put on were so relevant, and I think I should play them again. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate you hitting the like. I appreciate you sharing. And join the Discord if you can. If I can drop the link here to invite y'all. Join the Discord because we talk about these things. There is a lot of research in the Discord itself on these subjects. In fact, my Discord is kind of over the top. I should probably, maybe trim it down, but I haven't. I just can't because there's just been so much shared in there that I just don't want to do it yet. Don't want to trim it down. Again, I will play some of the songs that I played maybe from the beginning. They're so relevant. Quantum computers, Geordie Rose, you guys, Programmable Matter, the Boule, you name it, we talk about it. So, which is everything. All that they're trying to do, we expose it, especially in the Discord. So if you're like, I don't see you doing this stuff on YouTube anymore, well, we still do it in the Discord. So please join us. And I appreciate you guys way more than you appreciate me. I can't even believe I am where I'm at. I went back to my very first, I'm 3 years in on this now, this YouTube, and I went back to my very first video, and I thought, wow, how funny, how interesting where I was 3 years ago and how different it is now, just much nicer setup, whatever. Well, I started out with my phone and my headphones, but praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So thank you, Jesus. I'm just going to pray. Thank you, Father, Abba. We love you so much. This community means so much to me. You have brought us so far together. And now we have a network of family that I could have never imagined. People that would do anything for each other, anything for you. And we will never, ever accept this mark. No matter what it costs us on this earth, we will remember our eternity after this life. And that nothing here will turn us away from you. Nothing here can make us walk away from you. Nothing ever, no death of our family or illness of our children or siblings or parents or anyone in our lives, loved ones, no matter who they are, will ever make us walk away from you and your salvation. We will never, ever accept the mark, and we will cling together arm in arm no matter what it takes through this life to enjoy eternity with you, our Father in heaven, Yahushua HaMashiach of Nazareth. We love you. Amen. Okay, go and have a blessed night. I love you guys. Peace.
Six senses like the spiritual scientist. I'm more like the alchemist. It's like working on your consciousness. Star nations are against the cabal. Intergalactic wars are solar signs from Venus, Saturn to Mars. The upgrades of humanoids, 11 universal laws, 7 human seeds with terrestrial genes. Biological fields greater than golden eagle. 0-point energy diet theory when I start my sequel. The Eisenhower counters of the watches. The simple and ambient energy fields. Etheric Tesla shields. Indigo crystalline seeds. ADD, attention deficit disorders, really not a disease. Arrow pills and arrow outlets. Idols and doctrines, this Babylon is when I start my topic. The star fleets of command, the star scholars, Darwinism, evolution of the fossil resin, giving man confusion. I think they're here trying to help to provide some protection against the planets that consist in Orion's belt. Mechanical movement from grays, space suits from the demons to make travel through domains in space. Women left and behind, they convicted in the blind. The justice of mortal sins, the path to break the paradigm. Moving in a desert age of lifetime. Crystal superstar seeds are made up from evil scientists. I gotta expect economy, close encounter, cultural therapists. Engineering, genetics, really not helping this. Now we all stand up and stand. To the globe, to the world, universe, we are the astral command.
Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Who is the master of this astral being your channeling? He speaks of peace by removing all duality. Aligns himself with astrology satanically. He mimics truth to attribute lies to prophecy. There's no consistency except with demonology. He's got philosophies or alien technologies. Study the names and the symbols that they're borrowing. They're all just following an ancient masquerade. Like Rael and Billy Meyer and the dead from Heaven's Gate. Examine all the plans from the astral command. They demand evolution and ascension of man. These fallen angels are the masters of deception. They teach enlightenment from dark evil dimensions. The claim the rapture is a mass evacuation. Aquarian, 2012 reptilian invasion. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace.
A renegade searching for the way, for the place. Time travel through the space, where's the gate, no delays. Turn the key, vortex energy, faster than a rocket shooting up the sky. Are we finally free? Can't breathe, first responders last of the police surviving 9/11. It was definitely an inside job. If you think that I'm wrong, that's only cause you're scared. Walking like a robot, taking orders, dead stare. Twin towers, building 7, sacrificial side. Pillars opening a portal, ritualistic death outside. Astronauts even taking pictures of the rise. Could you believe they had it all planned right on time? We need to realize and be aware of the fact those running this planet came from another track. Secret societies, shape-shifting snakes, invading, enslaving, microchip, killing our race. Ya basta, ya no mas. The fight is on, battle of the minds. Who'd have thought this is our song? Revolutionary, evolutionary times. Read about it, be about it, write about it, dream about it. Full steam ahead, all engines go. Uniting the world, rescuing every single soul. It's never too late to take back what we own, what we've been given since our birth date.
Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace.